cabin starts shaking. The seatbelt sign lights up. Someone grabs the armrest tightly. Your heart beats faster. Is this normal? Is the plane safe? If you've ever felt nervous during turbulence, you're not alone. But here's something surprising. While passengers feel fear, pilots often feel nothing unusual at all. Why? Because most turbulence looks scary, but in reality, it's completely manageable. Let's break down what turbulence really does, and why pilots stay calm. 1. It shakes the plane, but within safe limits. When turbulence hits, the aircraft may bounce, vibrate, or feel like it's jumping in the air. Drinks may spill and overhead bins may rattle. It can feel dramatic from your seat. But what many people don't realize is that airplanes are built to handle much more stress than typical turbulence creates. Modern jets like the Boeing 737 and the Airbus A320 go through extreme stress testing before they ever carry passengers. Their wings are designed to bend significantly without breaking. In fact, flexibility is a safety feature. Pilots know these limits very well, so when the aircraft shakes, they are not worried. It's operating exactly as designed. Have you ever noticed how calm the captain sounds during rough air? That calmness comes from knowledge and experience. 2. It makes the plane change altitude slightly. Sometimes turbulence makes the aircraft rise or drop slightly. That dropping feeling can be the most frightening part for passengers. But in reality, these changes are usually small, often just a few feet to maybe 50 or 100 feet. In aviation terms, that is minor. Modern aircraft use advanced autopilot systems and flight controls developed by companies like Honeywell Aerospace to maintain stability. The plane isn't falling out of the sky. It's simply adjusting to shifting air currents. Pilots are trained to expect these movements and to respond calmly. Did you know that turbulence almost never causes commercial plane crashes? It feels dramatic, but it is rarely dangerous. 3. It slows the plane down. On purpose. When pilots expect turbulence, they often reduce the aircraft's speed. You might notice the engine sound change or become quieter. This is called flying at turbulence penetration speed. Slowing down reduces the stress on the aircraft and creates a smoother ride. Think of it like driving on a rough road. Going slower makes the bumps less harsh. Aviation authorities like the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, and the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, provide clear guidelines on how to handle turbulence safely. So if the plane slows down, it's not a sign of trouble. It's actually a smart safety move. Wouldn't you prefer a careful pilot over a fast one? 4. It activates the seatbelt sign. One of the first signs of turbulence is the seatbelt sign turning on. For many passengers, that light instantly creates anxiety, but the seatbelt sign is mainly about protecting people inside the cabin, not protecting the plane itself. Most turbulence-related injuries happen when passengers are not wearing seatbelts. Pilots often receive reports from other aircraft ahead of them about rough air. Air traffic control systems like those managed by the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, share real-time updates. When the seatbelt sign comes on, it simply means, stay seated and secure. It does not mean something is wrong. Do you usually keep your seatbelt on even when the sign is off? 5. It causes strange noises. During turbulence, the cabin can become noisy. You might hear rattling, light creaking, or changes in airflow sounds. These noises can sound alarming if you're not used to them. However, airplanes are complex machines with many moving parts. Slight flexing of metal structures, especially wings, can create normal sounds. Aircraft manufacturers like Boeing and Airbus test their planes in extreme wind simulations to ensure these movements are safe. Pilots have heard these sounds many times before. To them, it's routine. Just because something sounds unusual doesn't mean it's dangerous. Have you ever mistaken normal sounds for something serious? 6. It moves the plane side to side. Turbulence isn't always up and down. Sometimes the aircraft gently rocks side to side. This movement happens because of shifting wind directions or uneven air pressure. There are different types of turbulence, including clear air turbulence, thermal turbulence, mountain wave turbulence, and wake turbulence from other aircraft. Clear air turbulence is especially interesting because it can't always be detected by radar. However, pilots receive reports from other aircraft through communication systems like ACARS, allowing them to prepare. Even when the plane sways slightly, pilots remain calm because they understand the cause. Did you know turbulence is often more common near mountains or during hot afternoons when warm air rises? 7. It makes flight attendants sit down quickly. When turbulence becomes moderate, Flight attendants may suddenly stop serving food and quickly take their seats. That moment can make passengers nervous. It may look serious, but it's actually a normal safety step. The crew sits down to protect themselves, not because the aircraft is in danger. Flight attendants are trained to avoid standing during rough air since sudden drops or sharp movements can cause injuries. Airlines such as Emirates and Qatar Airways carefully train their cabin crews to handle turbulence calmly and professionally. Most turbulence-related injuries happen to passengers or crew members who are walking around without holding on or wearing seatbelts. The airplane itself is built to remain structurally strong and secure. They are following safety rules to protect everyone on board. Wouldn't you want them to act quickly and responsibly? 8. It feels worse than it actually is. Perhaps the biggest reason turbulence feels terrifying is psychological. Humans are not used to moving freely in the air. Even small movements can feel exaggerated when you're 35,000 feet above the ground. Pilots, however, view turbulence as normal airflow changes. They are trained in simulators that recreate rough weather conditions, including severe turbulence scenarios. Training centers such as those used by Lufthansa Aviation Training prepare pilots for situations much worse than typical flights ever experience. Most turbulence is classified as light or moderate. Severe turbulence is rare, and extreme turbulence is extremely rare. So while your emotions may tell you something is wrong, the data says otherwise. Does understanding the science make it feel less scary? Why pilots don't panic? Pilots spend years learning about aircraft systems, weather patterns, and emergency procedures. They understand the engineering behind the aircraft and know exactly what it can handle. Turbulence is considered a routine part of flying, much like bumps are part of driving. Commercial aviation is one of the safest forms of transportation in the world. Strict international safety standards ensure aircraft are built and operated carefully. When pilots encounter turbulence, they follow clear procedures. There is no guessing, no panic, just training and experience. In conclusion, turbulence can feel scary. The cabin may shake, overhead bins may rattle, drinks may spill, and the seatbelt sign quickly turns on. But the truth is simple. Turbulence is a normal and expected part of flying. Modern airplanes are carefully engineered and tested to handle forces much stronger than the bumps you experience during a regular flight. Pilots train for many years to manage rough air safely. They track weather systems, communicate with air traffic control, and adjust altitude when needed. For them, turbulence is routine, not an emergency. The biggest danger during turbulence is passengers standing up or not wearing their seatbelts when the plane suddenly drops or shifts. Staying seated and buckled keeps you safe. So next time your flight gets bumpy, remind yourself that the aircraft is built for this moment. Stay calm, trust the crew, and relax. If this helped you, press the bell button, share your experience in the comments, and let others know your thoughts. Thank you for watching.